You think you know this story, the story of the Dragonborn, the last Dragonborn, savior of Skyrim, slayer of Alduin. You've heard it 1,000 times. You've lived it. You walked out of Helgen. You climbed the 7,000 steps. You shouted Alduin from the sky. You were the hero. But tonight, I need you to forget everything you think you know, because the story you've been told is a lie. A comfortable lie. A lie that Bethesda told you. A lie that the Greybeards told you. A lie that you told yourself every time you absorbed a dragon's soul and felt that rush of power. Tonight, I'm going to show you the truth. And the truth is this. You were never the hero. You were the monster they were warning us about. Let's start at the beginning. The real beginning. Not Helgen, not the cart ride, not Alduin's attack. Let's start with what the Dragonborn actually is. The Nords call it Dovahkiin, the dragon blood, the dragon soul. They say it with reverence, with awe. The blessing of Akatosh himself, granted to mortals so they might stand against the dragons. But here's what they don't tell you. A Dragonborn is not a mortal with dragon powers. A Dragonborn is a dragon, wearing mortal flesh. Read that again. You are not a human who can shout. You are not an elf blessed by the gods. You are a dragon soul, stuffed into a mortal body, walking among people who have no idea what you really are. The Greybeards knew. The moment you climbed those steps, the moment you spoke your first Thu'um, they knew exactly what was standing in their monastery. And they were terrified. Think about High Hrothgar for a moment. 4 old men, masters of the voice, decades of training, meditation, discipline. They can barely whisper without causing avalanches. They've dedicated their entire lives to controlling the power of the Thu'um. And then you walk in. No training, no meditation, no discipline. You just absorb a dragon soul, and suddenly you can shout. Perfectly. Instinctively. Like you've been doing it for centuries. Because you have. You just don't remember. The Greybeards don't teach you the Thu'um. They can't. You already know it. They're just reminding you. Waking up something that was always there. Something ancient. Something that shouldn't exist in a mortal body. Arngir looks at you with those tired eyes, and you think he's being wise and mysterious. But look closer. That's not wisdom in his eyes. That's fear. He's afraid of you. He's afraid of what you'll become. And here's where we need to talk about what you've been doing. What you've really been doing. Every time you kill a dragon, you don't just kill them. When a normal person kills a dragon, and yes, it's possible, it's been done throughout history, the dragon dies. Its body decays. Its soul returns to Akatosh, or disperses into Aetherius, or does whatever dragon souls do when they're freed from flesh. But when you kill a dragon, you consume them. You tear their soul from existence and absorb it into yourself. You don't defeat them. You don't even really kill them. You erase them. Dragons are immortal beings. They've existed since the dawn of time. Alduin can resurrect them because their souls persist. They're just waiting to be called back. That's how it's always worked. Dragons die, dragons return. The cycle continues. Until you. When you absorb a dragon's soul, there is no return. There is no resurrection. There is no afterlife. That dragon, that ancient, immortal, thinking being, ceases to exist. Permanently. Completely. You don't absorb their power. You annihilate their existence. And you've done it how many times? 10? 20? 100?
Let's talk about Paarthurnax.
The old dragon on the throat of the world, the leader of the Greybeards, the one who taught humans to shout in the first place, who betrayed his own kind to help mortals win the Dragon War. Thousands of years of penance, thousands of years of meditation, thousands of years of fighting his own nature, his own instincts, his own draconic urge to dominate and destroy. And the Blades want you to kill him. Delphine and Esbern, they're obsessed. He was Alduin's lieutenant, they say. He can't be trusted, they say. A dragon is a dragon, they say. And here's the thing that should terrify you. They might be right. Not about Parthenax, about you. What is better, Parthenax asks you, to be born good or to overcome your evil nature through great effort? He's not just asking about himself, he's asking about you, because he sees what you are. He sees the dragon soul inside you. He sees the hunger, the dominance, the urge to consume and grow stronger. He's been fighting that urge for 4,000 years. You've been a Dragonborn for what? A few months? And how many souls have you already devoured? Here's a detail that most players miss completely. When you absorb a dragon soul, you don't just get power. You get memories, knowledge, fragments of that dragon's existence seeping into your mind. The game shows this as learning words of power. But think about what that actually means. Every dragon you consume, you take a piece of them into yourself. Their knowledge, their experiences, their personality. How much of you is still you? After absorbing 50 dragon souls, 100 dragon souls, how much of the original person who walked out of Helgen is left? How much of you is now them? The Dragonborn doesn't grow stronger by training. The Dragonborn grows stronger by consuming other beings, by taking their essence and making it your own. That's not a hero's power. That's a monster's power. But we're just getting started, because there's someone else who did exactly what you're doing. Someone who walked the same path, absorbed the same souls, grew in the same power. Miraak, the first Dragonborn. And what happened to him should keep you awake at night. Miraak was everything you are, blessed by Akatosh, powerful beyond measure. The hero who was supposed to defeat Alduin the first time, thousands of years before you were born. But Miraak didn't defeat Alduin. Miraak made a deal. He saw what he was becoming. He felt the dragon souls accumulating inside him, changing him, twisting him. And instead of fighting it, he embraced it. He went to Hermaeus Mora, the Daedric prince of forbidden knowledge, and he traded his service for power. For thousands of years, Miraak has been an apocrypha, growing stronger, consuming knowledge, becoming something that isn't quite dragon, isn't quite mortal, isn't quite Daedra. Something new, something terrible. And when you finally meet him, when you finally face the first Dragonborn in combat, what happens? You kill him. You absorb his soul. You take everything he was, every dragon soul he ever consumed, every fragment of forbidden knowledge, every piece of power he accumulated over millennia, and you add it to yourself. Stop for a moment. Think about what you are now. You have absorbed Miraak, a being who spent thousands of years consuming dragon souls in the realm of a Daedric prince. You carry his power inside you, his knowledge, his corruption. You have absorbed dozens, maybe hundreds of dragons, ancient beings older than most civilizations, their memories, their personalities, their Thu'um, all churning inside your mind. You have stood in Sovngarde itself and devoured Alduin, the World Eater, the firstborn of Akatosh. And you're still walking around Skyrim, doing quests, helping farmers, pretending to be normal. But you're not normal. You can't be normal. Not after everything you've taken into yourself. The Greybeards have a prophecy. Most players skip through it. It's just flavor text, right? Just background lore. But listen to the actual words. When misrule takes its place at the 8 corners of the world, when the brass tower walks and time is reshaped, when the thrice blessed fail and the red tower trembles, when the Dragonborn ruler loses his throne and the white tower falls, when the snow tower lies sundered, kingless, bleeding, the World Eater wakes, and the wheel turns upon the last Dragonborn. The wheel turns upon the last Dragonborn. Not the last Dragonborn saves the world. Not the last Dragonborn defeats the World Eater. The wheel turns. In Elder Scrolls metaphysics, the wheel is everything, reality itself, the structure of existence, and it turns upon you. What does that mean? What does it mean for reality itself to pivot on a single being? Here's what I think it means. Here's what the prophecy is really telling us. The last Dragonborn doesn't defeat Alduin. The last Dragonborn replaces Alduin. Think about it. Alduin's purpose, his divine function, is to end the world, to consume everything and reset existence so a new Kalpa can begin. He's not evil in the traditional sense. He's necessary. He's the end that makes new beginnings possible. But this time, Alduin got distracted. He forgot his purpose. He started conquering instead of consuming. He wanted to rule the world, not end it. So the gods needed a replacement. They needed a new World Eater. They needed you. And you've been doing such a good job. Every dragon soul you consume, you're doing exactly what Alduin should have done. You're eating the immortal children of Akatosh. You're removing them from the cycle of existence. You're ending things. Permanently. The Greybeards see it. Paarthurnax sees it. Even Alduin, in his final moments, sees the truth of what you are. You do not even know our tongue, do you? Such arrogance. To dare take for yourself the name of Dova. He's not just insulting you. He's recognizing you. He knows what you are. He knows why you were created. He knows that you're not his enemy. You're his successor. Part 1 ends here, but we've barely scratched the surface. In the next part, we're going to look at what the gods actually intended for you. We're going to examine the connection between you and Akatosh, and why that connection might not be the blessing everyone thinks it is. We're going to talk about what happens to mortal bodies when they contain too much divine power. And we're going to discuss the one question no one wants to answer. When you finally die, if you can die, what happens to all those souls trapped inside you? Do they go free? Or do they go where you go? Let's talk about Akatosh, the dragon god of time, the chief deity of the 9 divines, the creator of dragons, your creator. Everyone assumes Akatosh is good, benevolent, the protector of the mortal world. After all, he's the one who blessed Martin Septim at the end of Oblivion. He's the one who created the Dragonborn to fight Alduin. But here's something most people don't consider. Akatosh also created Alduin, the World Eater, the destroyer of all things, the dragon whose purpose is to consume existence itself. That's Akatosh's son, his firstborn, his design. So when Akatosh creates you, the Dragonborn, the one meant to oppose Alduin, what exactly do you think he created? Another hero? Or another monster? The nature of Akatosh is one of the deepest mysteries in Elder Scrolls lore. He's not a simple god. He's not even a single being. Akatosh is broken, fractured, split across time and reality in ways that mortal minds cannot comprehend. The Altmer call him Ariel. The Nords knew him as Alduin before the dragon was separated from the god. The Khajiit call him Alkosh. Each culture sees a different face of the same impossible entity. And here's what's disturbing about that. Alduin, the World Eater, the great enemy, might literally be a piece of Akatosh himself. Not a creation, a fragment, a face of God that got loose and started acting on its own. Which means when you absorb Alduin's soul, you might be absorbing a piece of the divine, a piece of the dragon god of time himself. No mortal body is meant to contain that. Let me tell you about Pelinal Whitestrake. You might know him from the Knights of the Nine DLC in Oblivion, the ancient hero who freed humanity from the Aelids, the warrior who wielded divine power against the elven slave masters. Pelinal was blessed by Akatosh, maybe even created by him. Some texts suggest he was a Shezarene, an avatar of Lorkhan, but others hint at connections to the dragon god himself. And Pelinal was absolutely, utterly insane. The texts describe his rampages, his madness, how he would lose himself in battle and slaughter everything around him, friend and foe alike. How he once killed so many Aelids that he was stained with their blood up to his elbows. How he screamed at the heavens about things that hadn't happened yet. About Riemann, a hero who wouldn't be born for thousands of years. This is what divine power does to mortals. This is what it does to their minds. Now think about yourself. You're not just blessed by Akatosh, you are a piece of him. Your soul is dragon. Your Thu'um is divine. And with every dragon you consume, you're adding more and more divine essence to your being. Pelinal had a fragment of divine power, and it drove him to genocidal madness. You have absorbed Alduin. Are you starting to understand? There's a book in Skyrim called The Book of the Dragonborn. Most players skim it. It's just background, right? History of previous Dragonborns, prophecies, the usual Elder Scrolls lore dump. But there's a passage that should stop you cold. There are many who would seek to study or exploit the Dragonborn's power, but the wise know that the Dragonborn is not a tool to be used. The Dragonborn is a force of nature. One does not use a hurricane, one merely survives it. A force of nature, not a hero, not a champion, not a savior. A hurricane. Something destructive, something unstoppable. Something that doesn't distinguish between the guilty and the innocent. The wise merely survive it. Let's talk about what happens when you shout. The Thu'um isn't magic. It's not a spell you cast. It's reality itself bending to your will. When you speak in the dragon language, you're not making a request. You're making a statement. And the universe has no choice but to agree. Fus Roda doesn't mean please push things away. It means force balance push. It's a declaration of truth. And because you say it with a dragon's voice, with a god's voice, it becomes true. This is the power of creation itself. This is the power that made the world. And you're using it to knock bandits off cliffs. But here's what should terrify you. Every time you shout, you're imposing your will on reality. You're telling the universe what to be, and the universe obeys. What does that do to a person? What does it do to a mortal mind to know really, truly know that reality will bend to your whims. Power corrupts. We all know that. But this isn't power. This is divinity. The Greybeards understand this. That's why they live in silence. That's why they spend decades meditating before speaking a single word of power. They know that the Thu'um isn't just a weapon. It's a temptation. The temptation to remake the world in your image. The temptation to stop asking and start demanding. The temptation to become a god. Arngir warns you about this. He tries to slow you down. He wants you to learn discipline, patience, control, because he knows what happens to Dragonborns who don't learn these things. They become tyrants. They become monsters. They become Murok. And you didn't listen to him, did you? You didn't sit in High Hrothgar meditating for years. You didn't practice restraint. You didn't cultivate wisdom. You consumed. Dragon after dragon after dragon. Soul after soul after soul. You gorged yourself on power with no thought for what it was doing to you. The Greybeards watched. Paarthurnax watched. They saw you becoming exactly what they feared. And there was nothing they could do. Because how do you stop a hurricane? Here's a question that the game never answers. What happens to the Dragonborn after the main quest? You defeat Alduin. You return from Sovngarde. You're hailed as a hero. And then, what? Do you settle down? Buy a house? Retire? You can't. You literally cannot stop being what you are. The dragon soul inside you doesn't retire. The hunger doesn't go away. Every time a dragon appears in the sky, you must fight it. You must kill it. You must consume its soul. It's not a choice. It's a compulsion. You're not fighting dragons because Skyrim needs you. You're fighting dragons because you can't help yourself. Because the dragon inside you wants to grow stronger, wants more power, wants more souls. This is what Miraak couldn't escape. This is what eventually drove him to Hermaeus Mora. The hunger never stops. Let me paint you a picture. 20 years after the events of Skyrim, 30 years, 50, the Dragonborn is still alive, still powerful, still hunting dragons. But the dragons are getting scarce. You've killed so many, consumed so many. There are only a handful left, hiding in the most remote corners of the world. The hunger doesn't care. The hunger needs to be fed. And when there are no more dragons, what do you consume then? The Thu'um can affect more than dragons. Ulfric's Stormcloak killed High King Torrig with a shout, not because Torrig was a dragon, but because the Thu'um doesn't discriminate. It's the voice of reality. It works on everyone. And the Dragonborn's ability to absorb souls, in the game it only works on dragons. That's a game mechanic, a limitation. But is it really? The ideal masters can trap mortal souls. Vampires can corrupt them. Necromancers can manipulate them. The soul is just energy, just power, just food. If you can consume a dragon's soul, a fragment of Akatosh himself, why couldn't you consume lesser souls? Maybe you can. Maybe you just haven't tried. Yet. There's a moment in the Dawnguard DLC that haunts me. When you enter the Soul Cairn for the first time, you have two options. You can become a vampire, or you can have part of your soul trapped in the Soul Gem. If you choose the Soul Gem, Serana's mother tears out a piece of your soul and stores it, and you barely notice. You walk through the Soul Cairn, a realm of tormented, fragmented souls, and you're fine. Weakened slightly, but fine. A piece of your soul is missing, and you're just walking around. What does that tell you about what you are? Normal mortals can't survive soul fracture. The soul cairn is filled with the shattered remains of people who lost pieces of themselves. They're husks, ghosts, broken things. But you're a Dragonborn. Your soul isn't like theirs. Dragons don't have souls the way mortals do. Dragons are souls. Their bodies are just projections, manifestations. When a dragon dies, the body dissolves because it was never really physical in the first place. The soul is what's real. The soul is what matters. You are a dragon soul, which means your body, the flesh you're walking around in, isn't really you. It's a projection, a shell, a temporary container for something much, much larger. And every soul you consume makes the real you bigger, stronger, more powerful. The shell stays the same size. The thing inside it keeps growing. Eventually, something has to give. Do you remember the Night Mother? The corpse that leads the Dark Brotherhood? The vessel of Sithis? You can hear her voice because you're the listener, or because you're special, or because you're becoming something that can perceive things mortals can't. The Night Mother speaks from beyond death. She exists in a space between worlds. Normal people can't hear her. Normal people can't comprehend her. But you can. Just like you can perceive dragon souls. Just like you can read Elder Scrolls without going blind. Just like you can walk through Sovngarde and return. You're not operating on the mortal frequency anymore. You're becoming something else. In Apocrypha, when you finally confront Miraak, Hermaeus Mora makes you an offer. He'll help you defeat the first Dragonborn. He'll give you the power you need. All you have to do is serve him. Learn from him. Become his new champion. And you say yes. Maybe you didn't realize it. Maybe you thought you were just using him, outsmarting the Daedric Prince of forbidden knowledge. But you took his power. You accepted his gift. You let him teach you the final word of the Bend Will shout. The shout that lets you dominate dragons, control their minds, make them serve you. That's not a hero's power. That's a tyrant's power. That's Miraak's power. Hermaeus Mora isn't stupid. He's been collecting forbidden knowledge since the dawn of time. He's seen empires rise and fall. He's watched countless mortals reach for power beyond their understanding. And he looked at you and saw something worth investing in. He didn't try to stop you from killing Miraak. He helped you kill Miraak. Why? Because Miraak was useful but limited. Miraak had spent thousands of years in Apocrypha, but hadn't grown much beyond his original power. You, though, you're different. You're still growing, still consuming, still accumulating power at a rate that even a Daedric prince finds interesting. Hermaeus Mora didn't lose a champion when you killed Miraak. He upgraded. And you're still out there, still absorbing souls, still growing stronger, still serving, whether you know it or not, the Prince of Forbidden Knowledge. Every dragon you kill makes Hermaeus Mora's new investment more valuable. Every word of power you learn is a word he can eventually claim. Every step you take toward godhood is a step deeper into his domain. But we still haven't answered the biggest question. What happens when you die? Where does a Dragonborn go? Sovngarde? That's where Nords go. But you're not really a Nord, are you? You're a dragon soul in mortal flesh. Aetherius? That's where dragons return to Akatosh. But you've been touched by Hermaeus Mora. You carry his gifts, his knowledge, his taint. Apocrypha? That's where Mora's servants end up, trapped forever in an endless library of forbidden knowledge. Is that your fate? Or maybe you don't die at all. Maybe you can't. Maybe every soul you've consumed has made you something beyond death, something beyond fate, something that will exist forever, growing, consuming, becoming, something that will eventually need to be stopped by another Dragonborn, by another monster. I want you to think about something. Right now, as you're listening to my voice, there are souls inside you. Not metaphorically, not poetically, literally. Every dragon you've ever killed is still there. Miraak is still there. Alduin, the World Eater himself, is still there. They're not gone. They're not at peace. They haven't moved on. They're trapped inside you forever. Let's talk about what a dragon soul actually is. Dragons aren't like other creatures. They don't have souls the way a deer has a soul or a bandit has a soul. Dragons are shards of Akatosh, fragments of the divine. Each one is a piece of the dragon god of time, given individual consciousness and set loose in the world. When you absorb a dragon soul, you're not consuming energy. You're consuming a person, a thinking, feeling, immortal being with thousands of years of memories and experiences. And they don't disappear. The game shows you a visual effect, light streaming from the dragon's corpse into your body, a rush of power, a new word unlocked. But that's just what you experience. What about them? There's a book in Skyrim called There Be Dragons. It's written by a scholar who interviewed Paarthurnax, and there's a passage in it that most players skip right over. When questioned about the nature of dragon souls, the Great Worm became uncharacteristically quiet. "You mortals think of death as an ending," he finally said. "For us, it is not so simple. When a Dova is slain by the Dovahkiin, we do not die. We do not sleep. We continue. But we continue inside another, aware, trapped, unable to speak or act or be." Read that again. Aware, trapped, unable to speak or act or be. Imagine it. You are Mirmulnir, the first dragon you killed. You've lived for thousands of years. You remember the Dragon War. You remember serving Alduin. You remember the long sleep and the glorious awakening. And then some mortal fresh out of Helgen puts a sword through your eye. You feel yourself dying. But it's not like anything you've experienced before. There's no fading, no transition, no return to Akatosh. Instead, there's a pull. Something is taking you, consuming you, dragging your essence into a tiny mortal shell. And then, you're still conscious. You can still think. You can still feel. But you can't move. You can't speak. You can't do anything. You're aware of the mortal's thoughts, their emotions, their decisions. You feel them using your power, your Thuum, your knowledge, your strength, as if it belonged to them. And you can't stop them. You can't even scream. That's what you did to Mirmulnir. And then you did it to another dragon, and another, and another. How many souls are inside you now? 20? 50? 100? 100 conscious beings, trapped in your body, aware of everything you do, unable to escape, for eternity. Now think about Alduin, the firstborn of Akatosh, the World Eater, the most powerful dragon who ever existed. You beat him in Sovngarde. You and the ancient Nord heroes, Gurmla, Feldir, Hakon. You shouted him from the sky and struck him down. And then you absorbed him. The game plays it like a victory. The music swells. The heroes cheer. Alduin is defeated. The world is saved. But Alduin didn't just disappear. He's inside you, right now. The World Eater, the dragon whose divine purpose is to consume all existence, is trapped inside your body, aware, watching, waiting. Do you think Alduin is at peace with this? Do you think he accepts his fate? That he's content to ride along inside a mortal shell, a prisoner in his own brother's flesh? Alduin, who ruled the dragons. Alduin, who conquered the ancient Nords. Alduin, who defied his own divine purpose because he wanted more than what the gods intended. That Alduin is just quiet? No. Alduin is fighting. Every moment of every day, the World Eater is trying to get out, trying to influence you, trying to take control. And you can't feel it because you don't know what to feel for. Have you ever made a decision that surprised you? Chosen violence when mercy was possible. Chosen cruelty when kindness cost nothing. Felt an urge to dominate, to control, to consume, and not known where that urge came from. Maybe that was you, or maybe that was him. Let's talk about Miraak, the first Dragonborn, the one who spent 4,000 years in Apocrypha, consuming dragon souls, accumulating power, becoming something neither mortal nor Dova. When you fought him at the summit of Apocrypha, you didn't just defeat him, you absorbed him. Everything he was, everything he'd consumed, every dragon soul he'd collected over millennia. Miraak had absorbed hundreds of dragons, maybe thousands, and now all of them are inside you. Not just Miraak, all his victims too. Think about the mathematics of this. You've absorbed maybe 50 dragons directly. Let's say 50. Miraak absorbed hundreds. Let's say 500, conservatively. That's 550 dragon souls inside you. 550 immortal beings. 550 fragments of Akatosh. 550 conscious minds, all trapped, all aware, all screaming into a void where no one can hear them. Plus Alduin, plus Miraak himself. Your body contains a population. Your mind contains a war. And here's what terrifies me. You're still functioning. Somehow, despite hosting hundreds of imprisoned dragon souls, despite containing the World Eater and the first Dragonborn, you're still walking around, still talking to people, still doing quests. How? How is your mind not shattered? How is your sense of self not drowned in a sea of draconic consciousness? There are only two possible answers. Either you're suppressing them, holding hundreds of immortal beings prisoner through sheer force of will, or they're suppressing themselves, waiting, biding their time, until you're weak enough for one of them to take over. The Daedric prince Vermina rules over nightmares. There's a quest in Dawnstar where you enter a nightmare, fight through twisted dreamscapes, and eventually confront a priest who's been torturing an entire town through their dreams. During this quest, if you pay attention, you'll notice something strange. Your character doesn't dream normally. The nightmare affects you less than it should. The twisted visions don't horrify you the way they horrify regular mortals. You walk through Vermina's realm like it's just another dungeon. Why? Because you're not really sleeping. A part of you is always awake, always vigilant, holding the door. Every night, when your mortal body rests, the dragon souls inside you are active. They're testing boundaries, probing for weaknesses, looking for a crack in your consciousness where one of them might slip through. Alduin whispers strategies of domination. Mirak schemes for escape. Ancient dragons who remember the Merethic era share knowledge of forbidden shouts. Your dreams aren't dreams. They're a prison yard. But there's something even worse to consider. What if you're not the warden? What if you're just another prisoner? Think about it. You have no memories before Helgen. You don't know who you were. You don't know where you came from. You don't know why you were on that cart. What if the person who was supposed to be in this body is already gone? What if a dragon soul took over years ago, and the you that emerged at Helgen was already something else? What if you've been a monster from the very beginning? There's evidence for this. The way you took to the Thu'um immediately. No training, no study, just instant mastery. The way you felt the pull toward dragon souls from the very first kill. Like you've been hungry for years. Like you'd finally found food. The way other dragons recognized you instantly. Not as a threat, as a rival, as one of them. Saloknir. The dragon resurrected at Kynesgrove. When Alduin brings him back to life, Saloknir looks at you and speaks. Dovahkiin? No, you are not Dova. He's confused. He can sense the dragon in you, but something is wrong. Something doesn't match. And then Alduin corrects him. He is Dovahkiin, Saloknir. You will taste the same defeat as all his kind. His kind? What kind is that? Mortal? Or something else? The original Dragonborn, the ones who followed Alesia and ruled the Cyrodiilic Empire, weren't like you. They had dragon blood. They could wear the Amulet of Kings. They could light the dragon fires. But they couldn't absorb dragon souls. They couldn't shout without training. They were mortals with divine heritage. You're different. You're not a mortal with dragon blood. You're a dragon with mortal blood. The proportion is reversed, and that changes everything. In the ancient dragon language, there's a word, Dinok. It means death, but for dragons, Dinok isn't an ending. It's a transformation, a change of state. Dragons don't fear Dinok because they know they'll return. They always return, except when the Dovahkiin is involved. When you kill a dragon, you don't give them Dinok. You give them something else. Something that doesn't have a word in the dragon language because it was never supposed to be possible. You give them oblivion. Not the realm, the concept. Complete non-existence. No afterlife. No return. No memory in the songs of other dragons. Nothing. And you've done this to hundreds of thinking beings, each one immortal, each one conscious, each one deserving, in their own way, of continued existence. You've committed a crime that no one else in the history of Tamriel has ever committed. You've destroyed souls, not killed, not trapped, destroyed, permanently, utterly. And the universe is watching. The gods are not going to forgive this. The dragons you've destroyed were children of Akatosh, fragments of his divine being, sacred, irreplaceable. Every dragon you absorb is a piece of God that will never return. And you've taken so many. How long before Akatosh notices? How long before the dragon god of time looks down at his diminished family and sees you, fat with divine essence, bloated with consumed souls, standing in the wreckage? How long before he decides to take back what you've stolen? But maybe that's not how it works. Maybe Akatosh doesn't punish you. Maybe Akatosh planned this. Maybe you're not a thief. Maybe you're a tool, a vessel, a collector. Maybe your purpose isn't to save the world. Maybe your purpose is to gather all the fragments of Akatosh in one place, in you, so that when the time comes, when the wheel finally turns, all those souls, all those pieces of God can be released at once, in an ending that makes Alduin's world-eating look like a gentle sunset. So here we are, at the end of this story, or maybe the beginning of a much longer one. You've heard the truth now, about what you are, about what you've done, about the hundreds of souls trapped inside you, the divine essence you've consumed, the cosmic role you may be playing without even knowing it. And you might be asking yourself a question. Does it matter? This is where I want to slow down. Take a breath with me. Because what comes next isn't about horror. It isn't about fear. It isn't about making you feel guilty for the dragons you've killed in a video game. What comes next is about something much older, much deeper. It's about what it means to be powerful and what it costs. There's a concept in philosophy called the burden of consciousness. The idea is simple. The more aware you are of yourself, of others, of the consequences of your actions, the heavier existence becomes. Ignorance isn't just bliss. Ignorance is weightlessness. The moment you understand what you're doing, you start carrying that understanding forever. The Dragonborn carries more than most. Every soul you've absorbed is a weight. Not because they're fighting you, not because they're evil, but because they existed. They had experiences, memories, hopes, fears, and now their existence continues inside you. Their weight becomes your weight. Paarthurnax understood this. 4,000 years on the throat of the world. 4,000 years of meditation. 4,000 years of carrying the weight of what he did during the Dragon War. He killed. He dominated. He burned cities and enslaved mortals. He was Alduin's right hand, the cruelest of the cruel. And then he changed. Not because someone forced him, not because he was punished, but because he understood. He became aware of the weight he was carrying, and he decided to carry it consciously, deliberately, forever. What is better, to be born good or to overcome your evil nature through great effort? This isn't just a question about morality. It's a question about consciousness. It's a question about choosing to feel the weight instead of ignoring it. The Dragonborn has a choice. You have a choice. You can ignore what you've learned tonight. You can go back to absorbing souls without thinking about it. You can treat dragons as enemies, as obstacles, as sources of power. You can be weightless. Or you can carry the weight. You can acknowledge that every dragon you kill is a person, that every soul you absorb becomes your responsibility, that the power you're accumulating comes with a cost that can never be fully paid. You can be conscious. I don't think the Dragonborn is evil. I know I've spent an hour telling you about the terrible things you've done, the souls you've destroyed, the cosmic horror of your existence. But evil requires intent. Evil requires choice. The Dragonborn didn't choose to be born this way, didn't choose to hunger for dragon souls, didn't choose to be the vessel for some divine plan they can't understand. You were thrown into a world on fire and handed a sword. What else were you supposed to do? There's a beautiful sadness in the Dragonborn story. You're powerful beyond measure. You can shout mountains apart. You can consume immortal beings. You can walk through the realm of the dead and return. But you can't connect. Not really. Every person you meet is temporary. They'll grow old. They'll die. And you'll still be here. Still carrying your weight. Still walking through a world that gets smaller every year. The companions you made in Whiterun? Gone in a few decades. The friends who fought beside you? Dust in a century. Even the other immortals, the Daedric princes, the divines, the great powers of the universe, they don't see you as an equal. They see you as a tool, a weapon, a useful monster. The Dragonborn is the loneliest being in Tamriel, and that loneliness is the price of power. But here's what I want you to understand. Loneliness isn't the same as isolation. You carry hundreds of souls inside you. Mirmulnir, Alduin, Mirak, ancient beings who remember the dawn of time. You are never truly alone. And if Paarthurnax is right, if those souls are aware, if they continue inside you, then you have a responsibility to them. Not to destroy them, not to suppress them, but to carry them. To let their existence mean something. Even trapped inside you, they can still witness the world through your eyes. They can still experience existence through your choices. They can still, in some small way, continue. The Dragonborn isn't just a prison. The Dragonborn is an ark. Think about that for a moment. Every dragon you've absorbed would have been destroyed when Alduin was defeated. Without a dragon to resurrect them, without Alduin's power to call them back, they would have simply ended. But you saved them. Not in the way they wanted, not in the way they would have chosen, but you saved them nonetheless. Inside you, they persist. Inside you, they endure. Inside you, fragments of the divine that would have been lost forever continue to exist. The Dragonborn isn't just a monster. The Dragonborn is a mercy. I want to tell you about something called Kensho in Zen Buddhism. It's the moment of awakening, the moment when you suddenly see reality clearly, not as you want it to be, not as you fear it to be, but as it is. Kensho isn't always pleasant. Sometimes seeing clearly means seeing terrible things. It means understanding that existence involves suffering, that power involves cost, that every choice closes off other choices forever. But Kensho is also liberation, because once you see clearly, you can stop fighting. You can stop pretending. You can accept what you are and move forward with full awareness. The Dragonborn's Kensho is understanding that you are a monster and a hero, a destroyer and a preserver, a prison and a sanctuary. You are all of these things, and you can carry all of these things. The night is getting late now. Your eyes are getting heavy, and I want to leave you with something peaceful, something to carry into your dreams. Imagine the throat of the world. Not during the day when pilgrims climb and dragons circle, but at night, deep in the night, when even the wind holds its breath. Snow falling softly, stars burning overhead, the whole of Skyrim spread out below like a map made of shadows and moonlight. And there, at the very peak, sits the Dragonborn. Not fighting, not consuming, not questing, just sitting, just breathing, just existing. The souls inside are quiet now, not gone, never gone, but at peace for this moment. Alduin watches through your eyes and sees the world he was meant to destroy. And perhaps, just perhaps, he understands why you stopped him, why the world deserved more time. Mirak feels the wind on your skin and remembers what it was like to be mortal, to be small, to be part of something larger than himself. The ancient dragons, the ones who remember the Merethic era, look at the stars and recognize them. The same stars that shone when the world was young, still shining, still beautiful. For one moment, the war inside you is over. For one moment, everyone is just watching the sky. This is what it means to carry weight consciously, not to be crushed by it, not to pretend it isn't there, but to sit with it, to let it be part of you, to find peace not despite the burden, but because of it. The Dragonborn isn't defined by the souls consumed. The Dragonborn is defined by how those souls are carried. Tomorrow, the sun will rise. There will be more dragons, more choices, more weight to carry. But tonight, on the peak of the throat of the world, there is only stillness, only snow, only stars, only breath. You're going to sleep now, and maybe, in your dreams, you'll visit Sovngarde, not as a warrior, not as a hunter, just as a traveler, walking through the mist, listening to the songs of the honored dead, feeling the warmth of a mead hall where everyone is welcome, even monsters, even you. Sleep well, Dragonborn. Tomorrow you'll carry your weight again, but tonight you can rest. Tonight, everyone inside you can rest, together, in peace. The stars are still there when you close your eyes. They'll still be there when you open them. Some things don't change. Some things don't need to. Good night.